and dinner February 11th. Meet Classic Champ Hall of Famer Jack Ham and many more famous sports personalities. Call for your tickets today.
Entertainment Tonight, weeknights at 7:30 on Channel 3.
Well, you may not have trouble believing this one. Here is something, here is the hoax of the year, and it's not so funny to the person upon whom this hoax or this imposter introduced himself. Let me show you what we're talking about here. Roll this tape, Brian. Here's a look at the superstar rock band Kiss in its heyday. They had more than 50 gold and platinum albums, you'll recall, records. One of them, Kiss Alive, went double platinum. They played to millions of fans in countries all over the world, outsold the Beatles in Tokyo. Their fan club was called the Kiss Army, and to this day, there are Kiss conventions where Kiss memorabilia is bartered and sold. This is Peter Criss, the former drummer for Kiss. Or is he? Here is the real Peter Criss. He won a People's Choice Award for this song, Beth. It is arguably one of the most popular songs ever released by Kiss. Peter left the band in 1981. He married, started a family, and was living quietly in California, writing his autobiography and planning a musical comeback. Living quietly, that is, until about 3 weeks ago. Is this Peter Criss? He sold a story to the Star, the tabloid, 4 weeks ago for $500 and 2 nights at a motel in California. He claimed he was now homeless and alcoholic, a bum. The headline, Kiss Star hits the skids. There's only one problem with all this. He's not the real Peter Criss. He's never even met him. This woman reads about it in the Star, claims to have had a relationship with the real Peter Criss, Criss in the early days of Kiss, reads he's in the gutter, frantically calls for 8 hours trying to find her old boyfriend, gets in touch with him, flies him to Boston, where he, in transit, is thrown off the plane, this guy, in Chicago for drunkenness, gets to Boston late, her heart is pounding, he turns around, it's not Peter Criss. And he has been living with this young woman and her mother in Boston for the last several weeks, during which time he has not had a drink or put anything funny in his nose or his mouth. Now listen. Here's what's not so funny. Peter Criss, the real Peter Criss, who's well married, raising his 8-year-old daughter in Redondo Beach, California, has, at the very same time all this is happening, flown to his mother's dying bedside in New York. This is like in the past several weeks. His mother dies, and at the funeral, people are coming up and saying, "How are you? How are you?" And he has no idea what they're talking about until he reads the Star about not only a guy who is posing as him, but the Star is writing that he beats his kids, that he's a bum, all of which is absolutely untrue. He's also got to explain to his wife, who is this woman calling from Boston? This imposter and the real Peter Criss have never met until today. I got one other thing I want to tell you before we meet. The person on whom this very false, unchecked story in the Star was based. down from on high come celebrities to save Peter Criss after reading about him in the Star, including this chap on the satellite from Burbank, California. Thomas.
How you doing?
You wanted to do a good thing for an old pal.
Well, I think I had a feeling that there was something up, but I wanted to do something. I wanted to do something for a fellow drunk.
Yeah, you know, Peter. Yeah, Peter is thankful to Tom. You know, he reads that Tom Arnold and a couple of other celebrities go down looking for good old pal drummer Peter in the gutter.
Right.
But Peter's at home saying, hey, I'm clean, I'm straight, I don't drink coffee. Now, for the first time, Peter meets his imposter, and that will happen in just a moment.
Is.
New York. Inside Channel 3 is here with articles of local interest by people you see on Channel 3. If you haven't got your copy, you can still get one at our studios on James Street. And just by watching Channel 3 this month for the lucky number on the back of your copy, you can win some fantastic prizes from AAA Travel and U.S. Air, Henry Frank Luggage Company, and Track and Racket Club, Metro Mattress, Syracuse Sports Medicine, Adirondack Colonial Furniture, and more. Save your lucky number and watch for it this month on Channel 3. In touch with Central New York.
Here's the star in which this appeared. Look at this. Can we, how do you want to do this? Is that 3? Look at this. Here's the man who's with us on our stage. That's how Peter looked 10 years ago. And it isn't true. The Kiss star did not hit the skids. This is not Peter Criss. I'll tell you what, you better start thumbing through these tabloids. You may be in them. Rock superstar, here's the lead. Rock superstar Peter Criss, the former drummer for Kiss, is a hopeless alcoholic living a pathetic existence on the streets of Santa Monica, California. I've lost it all, Criss told Star, revealing his pitiful plight for the first time. I blew all the money on cars, hotels, people, and bad investments. We were on the top. We were the biggest. May I ask you now to kindly welcome the real Peter Criss. You put your mic on there. Way up there. Hello? Never met him.
How you doing? Why couldn't you impersonate like the Lone Ranger or a Tano or something like that?
Yeah, sure.
You've really given me a rocky time.
You want to say something to Peter?
Well, through all this, I can't tell you how sorry I am about it.
I don't really blame you. I blame the star. Absolutely.
Yeah, those tabloids, they,
Yeah, the audience is...
Am I on?
You're
You
on.
guys hear me?
Hang on just a second. You know, you have seen the world here, Brother Christopher. You are also not going to be heard if we don't fix this. You're sorry.
yes,
Let me help you out here just a second.
yeah.
All your adult life, people come up to you and say, hey, you're Peter Criss. Is that right? Did people mistake you occasionally
About a year and a half.
for about a year and a half?
Yeah.
People thought you were him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it happened.
Yeah. Most of the street people in L.A.
Uh-huh. You're out of the closet about your drug use, huh, or abuse?
It wasn't drugs, it was just alcohol.
Alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when people started mistaking you for this Peter, your head was such that you started to what? To exploit this misunderstanding? Explain this to me.
Well, okay, I was 90% of the time out of it, I was loaded, you know, drinking, you know. And I was walking around in a haze for months and months and months, you know. I was, you know, things just got worse. I couldn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. Getting things robbed from me. It was just a mess.
Right. All right, just a shortcut now. The Star takes your picture, and did they say they were from the Star?
No, they didn't. I was in a food line waiting for some food in Santa Monica. They give out hot food, and this writer and photographer came up to me. I just didn't think anything of it. They were taking pictures of a few other people, too. And after maybe 20 shots, 30 shots, you know, they said we'd be interested in doing a story. And I was so totally out of it. At that time, I was very sick. I had edema and kidney and liver problems.
Uh-huh. And what'd they offer you, $500?
Yeah.
They said $500.
Well, they said 100 the first night, and that they'd give me about 4 more within a couple days' time.
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
Was it in cash?
Yes.
And they gave you a hotel room?
Yes.
Motel? Two nights?
I think it was 3.
Uh-huh. And you hadn't had $500 in cash in your pocket for a while, huh?
A long time. And I was sleeping on the beach.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 39.
You're 39. Christopher, you were raised in Evanston, Illinois, is that right?
Yeah.
Your father owned his own business?
Mm-hmm.
And he passed, as did your mother, so?
Yes.
You had an inheritance then?
Mm-hmm.
And you blew it?
Yes.
So you're kind of a lonely guy bouncing around there for a long time.
Right.
Comes up the Star in the middle of your agony with your head all screwed up. $500, whammo, you're in the Star.
It was like $1 million, yeah.
Glam rock drummer who earned 12 mil, panhandles for nickels, and sleeps under a pier. So now, Peter, listen. You know, you've been a monk, too, for the past 10 years, right?
I can tell you some outrageous stories, Phil, where I've been. I don't know. I've kept a real quiet life until now. And while this tripe came out, I was at my mother's funeral, who just passed away a month ago.
And tell them about that. People coming up to you, you know, here you are, you're so depressed you can't speak. And what are people saying?
Well, my dad took it the hardest because there was relatives I haven't seen in years. So, and when the phone would just constantly ring, and you know, him expecting to hear, "We're sorry about my mom," going, it was like, wow, how can you know, is Peter really living in the streets? And number one, my family, I come from an Irish Italian family, would never let that happen. Number two, my wife's family would never let that happen. Number three, my friends would never let that happen. And unless I got amnesia and wound up in Iraq or something. But you know, it was bad timing. We were harassed at the funeral parlor. We were harassed at the church. And I'm still not over my mom, so it's still tough for me. I think all they had to do was call my house, and I would have got on the phone. You, I don't know, and I don't know you either. And you called my house constantly, upsetting me and my child, and that made me very angry.
And you're lying, and you have a lot more to lose than I do.
I have what?
And I have witnesses.
You do?
Oh, yes,
Where do I know you from?
Peter, I remember you.
You remember me?
You came to my home in Clifton at
when?
3 o'clock in the morning. This was back in 81,
Now,
82. We were living in Clifton.
81, 82?
And you were privates
I was living in Darien,
That's where I
Connecticut
met
with
you.
my child.
Private?
And
You
my
were with
wife.
Jerry Shirley in Private
Who?
the night that I met you. The drummer in Humble Pie?
I don't know him.
That's okay. That's not even an issue
Oh, it
now.
sure isn't okay, because you two guys, I think, just want to be on TV.
I
You
have
like it?
enough TV shows.
You guys like it? Welcome to rock and roll. You know?
That's fine. I'm in enough TV shows.
No, it's like the old
I'm doing
Andy
films and
Warhol, you
TV
know,
shows,
15 minutes
Peter.
of fame.
I don't need
you
to
got
be
it,
on
babe.
TV.
It's all over for you three.
That's fine.
It's finished.
Wait a minute. You obviously have to cover your tracks.
You messed with the wrong
Let me
guy.
just, Peter, let me just,
It's okay.
here as we understand it is what Cheryl Ann Thompson, incidentally, I hope you're enjoying this, because you're going to be up here when someone says they know you and they met you in a brothel somewhere. I mean, you know, consider the heat now on this guy. And you've got to consider this, too, Peter. I mean, obviously, when a woman comes out of a rock star's past and said, yeah, it was wonderful, I'll never forget, that is not an unbelievable allegation, you know. And you're, incidentally, you're clear of eye now. You look very, very peaceful to me, so congratulations. But you have seen the world yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's not unbelievable that, incidentally, she would have been 20 at the time that she claims to have known you. This is 8 years ago she's claiming.
Right.
Here's what she claims, Peter. So bear up. This will
Please
just take
tell
a
me,
moment.
Tom. Please tell me, Phil. What is this?
We met in 1981 or 82. He was out of the band for about a year. His real name is Peter Criss. We met at a night. Criscola.
It's Italian.
We met at a nightclub called Privates on 86th and Lex in New York City. The first time I met him, he was really drunk. He was hanging out with some other drummers, and we got to talking because his ex-wife was marrying my ex-boyfriend.
Oh,
Craig
God.
Getch married Lydia.
Who the hell is that?
You don't know Lydia, your ex-wife?
Well, I know my ex-wife because she took enough from me, but I don't know him. I never met the guy in my whole life.
It was a very close relationship. It lasted about 5 months, and he broke off with me. I don't know why. He was married. He had a New York apartment we stayed at. I don't know who owned. We were only at my house in Clifton, New Jersey once, and that was about 3 a.m. My mother met him several times. He was always very nice, but he was always drunk all the time. I cared about him a lot, but I don't think he ever wanted to marry me.
God, that's sad. Can you guys sleep? Can you sleep at night? Really believe in that?
Yeah.
God,
I don't need publicity with all the TV shows I
Obviously you do. You're having your Andy Warhol time.
No, I'm not.
15 minutes of fame.
I'm an
It's great, isn't
established
it?
actress, Peter. I don't need
Oh, you're established.
publicity.
Well, I've never seen you on TV.
Matt Love.
Tom, have you ever
Simon
seen
and
her on
Simon.
TV?
Peter, can I say something?
God.
Check the Actors
We're the
Guild.
good guys.
No, you guys are not the good guys.
All right. We tried to help.
given
and
me a hard time at a
she-
bad time.
I understand that, okay?
No, you don't.
I lost my
'Cause-
mother,
Well,
too.
I just lost mine.
I understand, all right? And I
Then
know
why did
from...
you keep calling my
but
home
I
constantly?
frankly blame the star for...
Are you suing them?
I'm thinking about
you are?
it. You know why? Because a lot of people have been hurt by this.
Absolutely.
And I think they
Like my
took... I
family.
think they took advantage of a desperate street person.
Well, I feel sorry for this guy, and I would think it was great that Tom and Roseanne went down to help me when they thought it was me. I definitely bless them for that. But I think this whole
Would
thing
you
is a
like me
joke.
to identify marks that you have on your
Oh,
body?
God, everyone knows. What else you want to say, Marks? Do we all know I got a drum tattoo? Marks, every one of my fans know what the heck
Do you
I
put
got
your
on
pants
me.
down on album covers?
You know what I'm wearing, huh, under my drawers?
No, not now.
God, you never did, dear. You never did.
Well,
I mean, the next one, somebody has my child somewhere. I mean, I love this. It's like I'm working on an album, I'm working on a book, and all of a sudden my life has totally changed, and I didn't want it this way. And it makes me very uncomfortable because I'm still dealing with my mother. And I have to deal with this. It's like, I never met you, and I'd swear on a Bible right now.
And I'd swear
Because
on
I'm
the
a
Bible
Catholic
that you
kid.
did.
I bet you would. You need a shot on
Matter
TV.
of fact, I saw a woman this morning, Carol Ross, who used to work for you.
I remember. I know
Yeah,
Carol Ross.
Carol told me,
That
I
makes
saw
sense.
you guys together all the time. I
They
saw
were
it
our
this morning.
PR people.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I'm arguing with you. You'll never
Fine.
come to
Yeah.
my concerts, put it this way.
Yeah.
You don't belong there.
well, we're beginning to make Tom Arnold and Roseanne look
Great
a little like Mother
timing.
Teresa, and Tom, you
timing.
cannot enjoy listening in on this.
Well, it's pretty sad. You know, I think that the star, I have to agree, the star is the first villain.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think Chris Dickinson and Peter are definitely victims here, and that's about all I'm going to say.
Yeah, Tommy, just briefly now, you went down to where, Santa Monica, to look for your old pal Peter that you read was in the gutter as you read it in Stars. That's so?
Yeah, that's right. I went down to the Santa Monica Pier and looked around for a few hours, and then I finally I found out where I thought he was staying, and couldn't find him the first night. The second night I came back, I saw a guy with about 10 other homeless guys around him. He's like an entourage, like Elvis, and I figured that's got to be him, and so I took him out to eat and got him some food, and we talked about getting him in a hospital, and he just didn't look enough like the real Peter Criss, but who knows what alcohol does to you, and so we pursued that, and we got him a hospital to go into. Then this woman that's sitting there, I get a call from her. We're going to put him in the hospital the next Monday. She calls and says, I'm his ex-girlfriend. I've talked to him for 5 hours. It is the real Peter Criss. Because I asked her, I said, are you sure it's the real guy? You should see this guy.
And I asked if you were sure.
How would I know? I wasn't the one that slept with him. And believe me, if I had, he would remember me. So she said, Jeff, I beg her, don't fly him out to Boston, because I, myself being an alcoholic, if you get somebody out, they're going to take it instead of getting help. She said, I promise you I won't. The next morning I got up, she called and said, you've got to help me. There's a guy throwing up in my living room. I don't know him. She'd flown him out that night behind my back, and so, it was a mess for everybody, I guess.
Everyone gets through the gate and no Peter, you write. You write. I'm telling you, I got so many kisses and Chris's here. Cheryl Ann, remind you now, Cheryl Ann is the young woman who claims to have had a relationship with Peter 8 years ago. Peter, you've just heard emphatically deny this. In your explanation to us about what transpired after these frantic calls, saving Peter, save Peter, Peter's in the gutter, the Star said so. You finally get him to agree to come. You talk to Tom Arnold on the phone. Tom says, I don't think it's such a good idea to bring this guy. He's not sure. He thinks he's Peter, but he's not sure, as he's just established. And this guy is a goner. He's really wrecked. Your liver's shot now, isn't it?
Kind of.
Everyone, so you finally, after getting thrown off the airplane in Chicago, you finally catch a connector, and you come many hours late, and you write. Everyone gets through the gate and no Peter. Finally, I see all of the stewardesses giving each other the eye as if to say, the coast is clear, bring him through. At that moment, the security guard brings me to Peter at the phone booth, where Peter was so drunk he was trying to call me. He turned around, and what I saw was a very sick, disturbed, old, and very drunk imposter. I wanted to run out of there so fast. I couldn't believe that after everything I went through to get a man I cared for cross-country, he turned out to be a total stranger. I cannot put into words the feeling that came over me as soon as I saw his face. At that point, the guard asked him for his autograph. Remember this?
Not really.
You signed a $1 bill?
Do you remember like in A&M Studios? No. I just recorded there, and they said a month ago I was through there in a limousine. I wrecked it. You're giving me a great reputation.
My driver was also another Kiss fan that I couldn't say anything in front of him either on the way back to my home. I kept thinking to myself, as soon as I get out of this car, I am calling a shelter or the police or someone. I was scared and very uneasy. This thing that was sitting next to me in the car was more than disgusting. He was enough to make anyone throw up, and I nearly did more than once.
That's sad.
And he's been living with them now for a month.
What could I tell you, Tom? I mean, Phil,
Why?
Why?
You must have worried about him having diseases. You don't know if he's an axe murderer.
Yes, he could have been a robber. He could have been a racist.
Could look like that guy.
I took my chances.
Yeah,
So the love.
I mean, I slept with the...
Great.
So why did
slept
you...
with one eye open that night. I mean,
Why did you do it, they want to know?
If he hadn't been so sick, I would have let him go.
He was very ill.
It was the middle of winter. I mean, it's cold out. There's no way I can let a sick person out.
So what is it that you...
He has no credentials. He has no ID. There was no way that I could put him anywhere. He had to stay with us. And as I got to know him, he's a very mellow person and a person that's been well taken advantage of.
Your wife is here.
Yes, she is.
Do I have your permission to talk?
Absolutely.
Where is she?
She's sitting right there.
Well, let me say, there's not a woman here doesn't empathize with this circumstance. What are your thoughts as you listen in on this?
Well, I know that 8 years ago I was pregnant with my child, and he was probably with me every day. And he has been, I think, in the last 13 years. I think we've been apart once, and that was in Tennessee. That's why it's like this, where was this story concocted? But,
let's understand this. I mean, you got 2 hits here.
I know that.
You could say 3, really.
I understand it 13 years ago. There are a lot of girls I'm sure he's been with, and I know that he wasn't with her 8 years ago, and I'll stand behind him on that. I know he's telling the truth, and it's just sort of it's a really bizarre story.
May I just ask you this very gently? Are you going to sue the star?
I think we're considering it.
I'm going to meet an attorney Friday. Yeah. Yeah. I think someone has to draw a line with these people.
You know, the same 40 million people that read the original or the first story haven't even seen People. Good friends of ours only saw
the People article explaining this whole
exactly.
thing, which was not a cover.
The same 40 million people won't be in the same place when the retraction is done. The damage is done. Yeah. And people want to believe the worst. I mean, acquaintances that we've known want to believe this is true.
Is it possible for you to say to yourself, both of you, screw them? All that matters is what we know.
Right now, we have to get over the grief of his mother, and we're out here trying to clear up his name. It's still going on. We still have people calling us, thinking, gee, can we help?
Yeah.
And
in other
it's
words,
very sad.
You're being beaten to death with a Hallmark card by people who still don't know the truth of this yet.
No, they don't.
Probably a lot of people out there still think
many people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh. Tom?
Yeah.
You've seen this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you now not have a lawsuit going?
Yeah, we do. We do it. And I'd like to help the real Peter Criss by giving him all the information that we have through our lawsuit to help them get their lawsuit going.
You got it, Tom.
All right,
Absolutely.
buddy.
We'll give you that opportunity in just a moment. Thank you. Thank you.
Bring your film to Kinney Drugs for process.
Tonight at 7 on Channel 3.
To be part of the audience, please send a postcard to Donahue Tickets, care of NBC, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, New York, 10112. Remember, postcards only, please.
Are you there? I'm glad you waited. Hi.
Hi, Phil. This is Lydia Criss. I would like to speak to Cheryl Ann. Hi, Peter. Hi, Debbie. How you doing?
Okay.
Good.
Now, Lydia, this is your first wife.
Absolutely.
You wanted to say?
I want to know from Cheryl Ann who I was marrying 8 years ago, because I really don't think she's telling the truth.
All right.
Craig Getch?
I didn't know Craig 8 years ago.
Well, maybe, are you married to Craig Getch?
Yes, I am. Well, what did that have to do with Privates? Privates was closed by the time I met Craig.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I didn't know Craig. I didn't know him 8 years ago.
You know, we've got 2 wives of Peter Criss saying you're full of baloney.
I love it.
I expected that, though. I'm not surprised.
I mean,
he has a lot to lose.
We need Judge Wapner here. I can't. What's the matter?
What are they going to lose by suing?
A married man is not going to admit to an extramarital affair, number one.
Yeah, but you're the one.
Every wife would say that.
Well, look at you and look at my wife, and let's face it. I was born in Brooklyn. We don't pull punches.
Yeah.
Tom?
Tommy.
Yeah.
For all the public denouncing that you and Roseanne have done against the tabloids, how come you believe the tabloid, when you read the Star, you believe that story is truthful, yet you say it's all negative about you and Roseanne?
Well, I believe that there was somebody that was really sick living on the pier down there. And we checked it out a little bit, and we knew there was a homeless guy that was an alcoholic, and they said he was Peter Criss. And so I didn't really have time to check out for sure to see if it was Peter Criss, but I just went on down there. And, you know, I think, you know, just tried to reach out a little bit. And as it turned out, you know, I want to say one more thing, too. That guy, Chris Dickinson, needs to be in a hospital right now.
That's a very good point, Thomas. You're making the point that the man has been dry for only 4 weeks, and that does not recovery make. You understand this?
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Do you? Mm-hmm. Do you plan a rehab experience here? Are you going to check in?
Yeah, I'm very seriously thinking about it. Either that or doing a lot of AA meetings.
I feel sorry for this man. He's been exploited by her. He was exploited by the paper. I mean...
Well, he did acknowledge he was Peter Criss. Now, I mean, let's not have any telethons for the man.
I mean, no, but I mean, he was drunk at the time, and I mean, now
I don't think your empathy is misplaced. I don't mean to suggest, yes.
You coming from Manhattan, you've seen homeless people all the time. What would make you bring this one home?
The fact that I was with him 8 years ago.
You saw, when you saw him in the airport, you said that wasn't him.
You acknowledged it wasn't him. You knew it wasn't him when you saw him at the airport.
Oh, yeah.
What would make you bring this one home?
I didn't know what to do. I really didn't know what to do.
What is it you suspect, jury? What is it you suspect? What?
I have a question for the other woman. I want to know, why are you here today? If you don't want notoriety and you don't want any publicity, why are you here? Why are you here with these people?
Well, because I have to verify everything that happened to Chris, and everyone's been pursuing Chris to do shows.
But he's not Chris. And you took this guy home. You don't even...
He is Chris. He's not Peter Criss.
He's not Peter. You took him home.
He's never been in KISS.
You took him home. I mean, the day you went to the airport, you knew it wasn't him, but you still took him home.
Yeah, we took him in to help him.
Why? If you didn't want notoriety, why did you take a stranger?
We both have a heart, and there's a lot of homeless people out there, and if more people were like us to help people on the street, it would be a better world.
I contend that it was because of the article and you wanted the notoriety.
I have done. I want to know, do you think that this afternoon here is going to be a big boost for your career?
Because
let me say, I don't even care whether you're telling the truth or not. I think you're despicable.
Oh, that's fine.
If you were together for 5 months, don't you have any pictures together or anything like that?
No.
That you were with him? Of course you don't.
Yeah. Lydia, are you still there?
I am, Phil.
This is a very, very thoughtful, civil demonstration of affection for an ex-husband, may I say. Should we all have this relationship? Now, you obviously have been following this, obviously.
Oh, yeah, I actually saw Peter at the beginning of January when his mother passed away.
Yeah.
I went to the funeral.
Yeah. And... when did you get smart? With the People piece, or did somebody call you, or what?
I knew it was going to be written before it was written.
You knew what was going to be written?
The article.
Star?
Yes.
They called you?
Yes.
Did you believe them?
Nope. I knew it wasn't true.
And did you tell them that?
Yes, I did.
You did tell them that?
Yes, I did.
Who was the reporter with whom you spoke? What's the guy's name?
I don't really remember his name. You know, we get different reporters that
There's a
call
byline
all the time.
on the piece. Who is it?
Stephen Sawicki. Stephen Sawicki.
Well, that is not the... wait a minute. Boy, we got enough scandal here. I can't find you amid all this scandal. No, I don't see the byline now.
His name's Dave LaFontaine.
Yeah, that's the name, Fontaine.
Yeah.
Does that ring a bell with you, Lydia?
No, I spoke to someone in the photo research department. They work in a photo agency.
So were you quoted at all in the piece?
No, I wasn't.
Did you call Peter to tell him what was coming?
No, I didn't, because they wouldn't tell me what the article was actually about until maybe Friday before it came out.
Yes.
As soon as it went to press, then they let me know. And then the holiday weekend was upon us, and then I saw Peter the next, Tuesday.
Yeah. And how do you read Miss Thompson, Cheryl Ann here?
Well, I think she's making it all up. I have no idea how Craig is involved in this, my present husband, but Maybe she's trying to get even with me somehow that way. I don't know. I don't know where this whole circle is. It's hysterical.
Yeah. Well, nobody's dead.
Hey, Phil?
Yeah, Tom.
The Cheryl Ann and her mom didn't mention that they called me and Rosie and asked us for $10,000. They said they were going to lose their condominium because this guy was...
that's true.
They hadn't paid rent because they had to fly him out.
Right.
And they needed the money.
There was no quote of $10,000.
No quote of money, but
We did use the condo money, but there was not $10,000.
No, I almost lost my condo, but I never asked for that amount of money.
I mean, we can be ripped apart here, but truth is truth.
What did you ask for?
I asked for whatever they could send to help pay my rent that month.
So they asked for money, but they're denying it was $10,000. What?
She asked for money.
We didn't ask them for money. They wanted to help this person.
At that point.
Even when they found out it wasn't Peter.
You held on to him for 3 weeks just to be on the show.
We've been taking care of this man. Nobody else.
Well, it's good to be back.
I had helped him. Let me say...
Let me break here. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, back in a minute. Well, Miss Thompson, there's some suggestion that you're not telling us the truth here. Incidentally, just let's examine if somebody comes out of the woodwork tomorrow and says, I had any rock drummer's baby or I went to bed with him, who are you going to believe? You're going to believe the woman. Remember? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Wasn't that the whole deal? I mean, they, outside the old stage door, that was, I read about that myself. Clifford Blessing, does that name ring a bell to you?
Yes.
It does? Well, he's on the line, and yes.
Hello?
Hi.
Are you Clifford Blessing?
My name is Clifford Blessing, yes.
And you called us in the office because you couldn't get through in the line.
That's right.
We have agreed to call you back after authenticating your phone number.
That's right.
And we accept your word that you're Clifford Blessing. Why do you call?
Why do I call? Because I'm acquainted with Miss Cheryl Ann Thompson. I met her about a year and a half ago, I would say. She was living in an apartment over a bar in Union. She has never, to my knowledge, lived in Clifton, New Jersey.
Oh, that was 8 years ago, though, before I knew him.
Oh, okay. And as far as I know, her mom and her don't have a condo at this point.
We're in Boston now, Cliff.
I'm thrilled for you, Cheryl. Okay. As far as I know, this young woman is a compulsive liar.
What did you say?
This young woman is a compulsive liar.
No.
Okay. And I got at least
here, Cheryl Ann.
I got at least.
Hang on a minute.
Excuse me, Phil.
Before you get the posse ready here, hang on a minute. Okay. Cheryl, you're taking some very big hits here. I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this. Please don't misinterpret this audience's kind of rah-rah. That's the way it is here. It's a talk show, and it's not personal, but they get excited. But your credibility's certainly been challenged, let's put it this way. To this overwhelming demonstration of disapproval of your assertions, you would say what?
I've done a lot of shows. I've done a lot of TV shows even before this story broke. I don't need the publicity. Clifford Blessing is a homosexual, and the one he loves, Rob, was a good friend of mine.
Yeah. Hey, hang on, Arnold. We'll be with you in a second here. Clifford, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Clifford? Yes.
I'm fascinated by that last comment, too. Considering my girlfriend, Hilda, would be very surprised to hear that.
Yeah, who's Rob in Transformation.
Yeah, right. Rob in Transformation. Her name is Hilda Diaz. She lives in Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And she puts you to shame, girl.
Yeah, hang on a minute. I can hear the lawyers coming up the elevator.
Hi. I was just wondering, if you're claiming this whole thing is true, how come you have no evidence to support it whatsoever?
Because we were all drunk back 8 years ago. We all drank a lot.
No pictures, nothing? Nobody can come and call and stand up for you?
Guess not. A lot of her friends
Why did you
and
decide
her...
to help out Peter? Did you know him before, or were you just, you know, looking out for the soul of a lost, down and out rock and roll person?
That's for you, Tom.
Well, I didn't never know him, but, you know, I'm a fan. But I just saw another, like I say, another alcoholic that was, and, you know, it's quite an incredible story, and I don't know. I just decided to reach out, and, you know, but I want to say something else, too. If she wants to help him, Chris Dickinson, she'll leave the show today and then go put him in a hospital. She cannot take care of him. He needs some professional help. Yeah. And if she really cares...
If you joined us late, I have no time. There's not enough time for me to explain what has transpired.
I just want to say that I think Peter's taken it very well, and I would hope none of us would believe anything we'd read in the Star or the Enquirer.
Well, how do I ignore this guy? You're a Kiss freak, are you?
Peter Criss freak, then Kiss freak.
Right.
Big fan
And you
of
wanted
Peter's.
to say what?
I just wanted to say, when I first heard about it, I had the same reaction that all the members of the Kiss Army did. We were shocked. But when I first saw the article, just being a Kiss fan for years, me and about 10 other friends automatically knew that it wasn't Peter Criss. Yes, I understand that what alcohol can do to one's face, but we knew. It was unanimous. 10 guys. That's not Peter. We laughed it and threw it away. Basic fans, and you knew this man.
What I
You
think...
got those two shots, Brian? I don't know.
Years, so. That was pretty bizarre. This is more bizarre than my whole life has ever been.
Yeah.
Hi, does Chris feel indebted to Cheryl Ann at all for the help that she's given him?
Chris, are you grateful for the halfway house that you found yourself in Boston, free of charge?
I appreciate the help, which I... Who you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciated, or I do appreciate the help that they have offered and given me, and but bottom line is I just have to quit drinking and shape up.
Yeah. Let me show you. This Kiss fan just stood up to make this point. He said a real Kiss fan and a member of the Army would immediately see that these are not the same people. The Star sells this, obviously, on the hook of this is what happens to your face when you drink too much. It should also be said that this is a photograph that's 10 years old. So, you know, lots of questions here. How come 40 million of us are reading this stuff when we know that, what are they going to say about you next week? What gets published without proof? Why was there not even the courtesy to call Peter or check somebody to see if this was true? And we'll be back in just a minute.
Wegmans is introducing an exciting new way to shop and save. This is Wegmans Shop...
WSTM Channel 3.
Mom's...
Here's the, hang on a minute, Peter. Here's the Star that broke the story. I showed you this. Rock star hits skids. All right, you saw that. Then follows, Tommy, they'll do anything to get you and your bride in these magazines. Roseanne and Tom rescue tragic Kiss rocker and dry him out.
Yeah. You know, they knew the real Peter Criss by then. They knew, they had been told by several lawyers that they had the wrong guy, but they went ahead and printed another story.
Now, let me say that the Star finally retracts it, but they did so in a piece that doesn't look like a... Kiss imposter from Skid Row reveals, I fooled the world. I was Peter Criss. A homeless man who hit rock bottom on the streets of Hollywood has told how he passed himself for years as Peter Criss, drummer with the rock band Criss. Third paragraph, after Star ran a story on his plate, it was learned the real Peter Criss was living comfortably with his wife and child in Redondo Beach. A very cleverly worded thing that essentially is a long way from saying we goofed. George, are you there?
Yes,
I am, Phil.
You're George Stewart, who were, and you called us, and we called you back. You were the tour manager for KISS, so?
Yes, I was Kiss's tour manager.
Yeah, I got very little time, George, so get to it. What is it you wanted to say?
I just wanted to say that I know Peter very, very well, and I know Debbie very well, and he was a very honorable guy, and I doubt this whole story. Plus, the other reason I'm calling is, Peter, I'm really sorry what happened to your mom. I lost my mom last year, and I think it's terrible that the Star would put you through this at a time like that.
Let me, I appreciate your call, George. Well, how you doing?
George.
Yeah, I'm doing
Now
good.
we got somebody else testifying against you here.
I know that.
And you believe in your daughter's integrity
Of
here?
course I do. I know what she went through because of the Star magazine.
Mm-hmm.
They did a lot of damage here.
Right. Just let me get, I got only seconds left. Peter, you said you blamed the Star. You feel for this man. Tell us again, what are your thoughts here? Tell me again how you feel about this young man.
I feel sorry for him. I mean, there's so many people living in the streets. There's a war going on. There's a whole lot of, it's just, you know, you read the paper, somebody's got AIDS, how could you get off on other people's misery? I mean, how can people make money on other people's suffering? It's got to stop. It's got to stop. It's just got to stop.
So we'll be back in just a minute.
Being introduced, cameras on, ready? I can't go out there.
For a transcript of today's show, send $3 to Donahue Transcripts, 267 Broadway, New York, 1007, or call 212-227-READ.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, now that the show is over for these two ladies, are they planning to send him to a rehab center where he can be helped with his disease?
Yeah.
You had what you wanted, so now it's true. Now send him to a place where he can be helped.
Right.
Yeah, Peter agrees. Yes.
I think it's odd that she took such pains to find, to help out Peter when she only had a fling 8 years ago.
Right.
Why go to such trouble to help him?
Yeah.
I want to know what happened to Beth.
Service is provided and promotional fees paid by the following.
No nonsense. The pantyhose that hold up through your busy schedule without a snag. No nonsense. The pantyhose that last.
Dulcolax has it. The other leading laxatives don't. Only Dulcolax has a comfort coating designed to protect your stomach. Comfort-coated Dulcolax.
For the perfect weekend and the perfect frequent stay program, check into the new Drake, the only Swiss hotel on Park Avenue.
Up next on Channel 3 News, 3 full weeks of